Mozambique as well as Madagascar are picking up the pieces following the recent tropical cyclones Dikeledi as well as Chido. Meteorologist experts have been meeting in Lusaka, Zambia, to seek ways to improve forecasts in the region. Joining us is Nico Kroese, who is the South African Weather Service forecasting lead. Nico, thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it this morning. What's the actual problem? Were we just not able to forecast? Are we just lacking in certain technology? Is it a case of funding? Won't you just detail to us what perhaps was the issue in not being able to perhaps understand these two tropical cyclones?
These two tropical cyclones was actually events that were quite, forecasted ahead of time. We observed them through satellite imagery quite a number of days before they actually hit or make landfall, as we say. But what we are doing here in Zambia during our testbed exercise is to look at nowcasting events. Those are events, severe weather events like severe thunderstorms that develops quite in a very short time scale. And you require different technologies and different resources in order to forecast those. And hence, this workshop that we are having for the next week in order to better develop procedures and learn some lessons on how to improve those events for early warnings.
Trying to improve that, I mean, ultimately means that there's the growth in technological advancements and understanding what creates certain weather patterns as well, not because of his history alone, but because weather patterns are ultimately changing because of the changes in sort of the weather that we are seeing, of course, because of certain reasons, including the ozone layers, etc., and global warming. Are we finding then that we're understanding it better and that a lot more people are taking in and are willing to accept that things can change from where they have been in the past?
Thank you for that question. That there is a better understanding, that a weather forecast inherently means that there are some doubt or some focus on uncertainty within the forecast. But what we have found is that with latest technology developing over the past 10 to 15 years, we've better started to monitor weather a lot better. The forecast models that we are utilizing to forecast the weather, 3 to 5 days ahead and even up to 10 days has improved quite considerably. But the challenge is this forecast range from 0 to 6 hours, which we call nowcasting, because this is a special range of forecast that we are conducting. And for that, you need special resources, observation resources like satellite technology, your real-time reporting weather stations, and then also if countries have got access to weather radar, we also use weather radar as a tool in which to conduct early warnings for severe weather events. So it is not that we have a lack of skill in forecasting. It's the special range of forecast that we need different resources in order to accurately forecast the weather for this short time scale. Because after all, this is the type of weather that we have to react to. It's basically the weather that we feel on our backside every day. It's not like climate change or a weekly forecast or a monthly forecast, which occurs ahead of time, but it's what's happening in the next 2 hours, and where community and people need to make decisions on.
So where will these, renewed weather stations, etc., be placed? Will it be any new weather stations for that matter? Or is this just a case of altering and changing the technology, which ultimately means that there kind of needs to be a little bit more funding in order to get this right as well?
Yes, in order to do this kind of forecasting requires additional resources. As I've mentioned previously, observation platform like a weather radar, which is the ultimate tool to use during a nowcasting and the issuing of early warnings. There's also your automatic weather stations. And although most meteorological services have got an existing observation network, there's always gaps. And especially in the subcontinent of Africa, there are huge gaps in the observation network. And in order to fill those gaps, new instruments and new technologies can be deployed in order to fill those gaps. And obviously, filling those gaps with remote sensing platforms like satellite is playing a huge role for meteorologists to understand, the different weather patterns and observed severe weather event that is going to hit communities. And this project that we are currently running, we focus on urban communities so that early warnings can be issued ahead of time with, a pre-warning time schedule that people can actually react to the warning.
Will this be something that is put out to the rest of the continent? I mean, right now it's primarily SADC that is keenly interested in this test bed, but will this be able to serve the rest of the continent? Is this also technology that we've taken from somewhere else across the world?
Yes, this technology is actually a test bed originated actually in the United States. As you know, with the severe weather that they experience in the form of tornadoes and also hurricanes, what we call in our part of the world tropical cyclones. But in essence, the meteorological community collaborate with each other quite extensively. Thus, what we are busy doing in the SADC region, and I must just add that currently the 3 countries that is the focal point during this test bed is Mozambique, Zambia, and South Africa. But once these principles have been embedded into the routine operations of these 3 Met services, we would like to roll this out to other SADC countries as well. And that is actually the beauty of this project, is that we would like to share the lessons learned during this project with our colleagues in SADC, but then going beyond SADC into the rest of Africa. The same principle is at work, in that we would like to expand the lessons we learned during this project in order to improve the livelihoods of people across the continent.
Yeah, just very quickly, the line is a little bit bad, but if we can, just very quickly as well, Nico, how much does a project like this cost, one? And how long would it take to then implement, particularly in the areas you've spoken about, Mozambique, Zambia, and South Africa being the test beds for it?
Look, the project is called the WISER Early Warning for Southern Africa project. It's funded by the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office within the UK. And the project budget is in the order of £2 million for this project to be conducted. But this project, it's obviously not enough to cover the expansion to other SADC countries. So one can see this as a sort of a pilot initiative to establish the technology and the procedures that can be rolled out to other SADC countries as well. But to embed the procedures in the 3 countries that we have targeted at the moment.
All right. £2 million, 46 million rand or thereabouts at current rates then. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Nico Kroese, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it this morning. Very interesting development. We'll certainly see. Hopefully, you'll be looking at my app and seeing a better weather forecast, or perhaps the forecast that I see there will definitely be the one. When it says 60% chance of rain, perhaps we'll read that a little bit better as well in future. Nico Kroese, South African Weather Project forecasting lead there, as we talk about a test bed with regards to trying to understand and develop better ways of understanding the weather across the SADC region.